Viewmasters, it's the podcast that we do. Viewmasters, talk about movies that we view. Viewmasters, my friend Eric and me, Joe. Viewmasters, hey, let's start the show.
Hey, welcome to the Viewmasters, episode 339, The Boston Strangler. My name is Eric.
My name is Joe.
Is it The Boston Strangler or just Boston Strangler?
I believe it is just Boston Strangler.
I fucked it all up.
This episode is ruined already. But at least we sound damn good doing it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Both of us fighting colds and COVID after effects. It's dogs barking in backgrounds and cats banging on doors. It's a hell of an episode so far.
A peak performance right here. Eric, how the hell are you?
Not great, Joe.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's all right. D-.
Yeah, oof. Yeah, probably C- for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
2 out of 10. Do not recommend.
Yep, same. I mean, it could be worse, so.
It could be, I suppose.
Yeah.
Could always be worse.
Yes, it can.
For instance, we could be victims of the Boston Strangler.
Ooh, we could, but we're not women.
That's true. And isn't that just lucky for both of us?
It is. Male privilege to the rescue.
Hell yeah, that is ultimately what this movie is about.
It's a pretty woke movie.
It's oh man, what? I mean, it is all about how horrible dudes are. And I wouldn't say that it's wrong.
No, it's not. Dudes are pretty horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna make a joke about before we started getting into this about this movie being called The Boston Strangler.
Yeah.
About dudes from Boston who just get left behind.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did just I couldn't fit it in.
Does that? God damn it. Does that tie into the movie somehow?
No.
Are there dudes in Boston just getting left behind?
No, if anything, dudes are just persevering left and right.
Right. You know what is Boston Strangler but dudes persevering? My favorite Paul Bettany quote.
Oh boy. I guess maybe Loretta's husband gets left behind ultimately.
He does, that's true. But also, he sucks.
He does suck.
Yeah.
But also, his turn is almost immediate.
It is, it's true. Like, he is supportive a little bit at first.
Right.
Like you can tell that he's still very much like, I am the man, and I am supposed to be the one who is career focused,
right?
And not leaving in the evening to go to work, while you, a woman, stays home to take care of the children. But he puts up a facade of being supportive initially.
I mean, I felt at the beginning it was very genuine. But also sort of like you and your fancy journalism,
right? Oh, they rush release a new toaster, Loretta. You gotta go write a review of a new coffee maker. What goes into the review of a toaster?
Yeah, that is. I did kind of wonder that. Like, what do you write about?
I mean, it toasts things.
Sure.
It didn't catch fire.
I mean, those are positives.
Yeah.
I guess it's shiny still.
It was shiny, yeah. I guess you're right about the aesthetics of it. Because the functionality is probably not changing that much.
Right? I mean, yeah, unless it's just really fucking up your bread, you know?
Yeah. Unless it's one of those, like, you know how they make those, like, Darth Vader toasters that the pattern of the burn or whatever is Darth Vader's face?
Sure.
Like, I could see writing a review of that, but otherwise it's just like, oh, it's lines.
Right?
You know. It toasted evenly.
Right? I mean, you know, I guess maybe you check each of the lightness and darkness settings of the toast.
Yeah.
You know, like what's your toast setting?
Oh, my toast setting is probably, so like on a scale of 1 to 10, it's probably a 4.5.
Okay, it's not bad.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
Yeah, I like a little lighter. I go for a 3 or so. I like it like warm and just a little bit crispy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you know, put some butter on it. Put some cinnamon sugar maybe. Oh, now I want that.
That sounds tasty.
I just want cinnamon toast right now. Let's pause this podcast.
All right, we'll be back in a moment.
And we're back. How's your toast?
You know what? I don't have a toaster.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Why did you agree to take that break?
I just wanted to provide you with some happiness.
I really appreciate your support.
You're welcome.
It's about dudes looking out for each other.
Yeah.
Much like Boston Strangler. Oh boy. So, did you know anything about the Boston Strangler before we watched this movie?
No, I did not.
I did not either.
I feel like I've always heard of it, you know, throughout my life, but I never knew, you know, the deal with it or anything like that. And I think I remember, as a very young child, there was like some sort of TV movie that was called some sort of variation of the Boston Strangler.
Ooh.
That I watched partly. But I don't think it was anything true to life.
Gotcha.
like it was it felt more like you know, Dirty Harry to the Zodiac Killer, you know.
Sure.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Just one lone cop taking the law into his own hands.
Right. Oh boy. What about you? I know you're kind of into true crime.
I do like true crime, but I did not know anything about this case. I did not realize that it's technically unsolved, or at least, you know, the cases are still open. But I'm a sucker for you know, an open investigation, so that's exciting. But yeah, I feel like I had almost, like, it's one of those things that I've also heard of before, and that I've been interested in, but never taken the time to dig into.
Yeah, right.
And like, I'd almost been waiting for the right presentation to come along. Like whether it's you know, a fictionalized account or a really good documentary or something. So yeah, I almost feel like I'd been waiting to learn about this story for some reason. I'm not sure why.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm not super into true crime. You know, it is there. I feel like there is an inherent fascination that is just sort of built into humans. That you know, you just naturally have, and you know, so there's always that part of me, but I've never really fully delved into that kind of thing. Like you know, true crime podcasts obviously are like the biggest sort of, you know, kind of the in thing, I guess.
Right. Well, they invented podcasts.
Well, sure, of course, yeah. But like, you know, I tried to listen to like My Favorite Murder is the one that I attempted to get into, which I figured, you know, this is accessible to me because it's comedians, and I like Karen Kilgariff, and okay, so we can work with this, but then it just got to be just not my thing.
Yeah, I listened to My Favorite Murder for a really long time, and then around the time that like they started their own podcasting network, and the book was coming out that they wrote, it felt like it sort of got away from them a little bit, so I stopped listening to it at that point. Like, it clearly wasn't their priority at that point.
Right.
And then yeah, I've never found another true crime podcast that I've listened to regularly. Like, I have heard that there's a show called Crime Junkies that I've heard is really good, but I haven't tried that one yet. I'm good also with comedy podcasts.
Right.
I think if I skew one way or the other, it's going to be comedy podcasts versus things about people doing horrible things.
Yeah, I think it's I definitely want to be more entertained than, you know, I guess shocked when I listen to podcasts. You know, I try to listen to them mostly passively, you know.
Yeah.
And comedy is just sort of better for me.
Yeah.
You know, I listen to a lot of pop culture type stuff, you know, basically the same thing that we're doing right now.
Right.
But with much better people doing them. You know, and the dollop is still a favorite of mine, but you know, the focus on that is comedy over the history, which makes it, I think, more of a better pill to swallow.
Yeah, I can see that.
Whereas, like, you know, with My Favorite Murder, it was always they definitely put the comedy on the back burner, and you know, with kind of good reason to do so.
Yeah.
You know, but definitely didn't make for anything that I found entertaining or interesting. And definitely not something that I would become obsessed with, like apparently the majority of America.
Right.
That said, you know, like I listened to Patton Oswalt's late wife wrote a book that he helped finish, like when she died,
Right.
about the Golden State Killer. I listened to that audiobook, which was very interesting. But for the most part, you know, like, and I do have that sort of, again, inherent fascination with like serial killers, and I know a lot about serial killers, more than maybe is socially acceptable, but
yeah.
you know, it's also just sort of, it's a passing interest, and not anything that I just spend, you know, hours reading about or anything like that.
Yeah. I mean, I remember being in high school with my first computer in my bedroom and staying up way too late, going down, you know, dial-up internet rabbit holes about, well, first of all, the JFK assassination.
Well, sure.
But then also, like, Zodiac and Jack the Ripper and other famous serial killers that were primarily never solved.
Right.
So yeah, I hope no one was looking at my search history at that point.
Well, you know, I didn't have the internet, so I just relied on the hardcore facts presented by Oliver Stone about JFK, and you know, the hardcore nonfiction story of From Hell by Alan Moore and Eddie Campbell. So
hell yeah. Oh man, did you like From Hell?
I
The
did
graphic
not.
novel? No.
Yeah, I tried to read it like 3 or 4 different times, and I could just never really get into it or get much into it. Like, I never finished it for sure.
Yeah, there's an extended sequence about obelisks that I was just like, what? Why am I reading this? But then I feel like once I got past that part, like I had powered through that part, and I got to the actual meat of the sort of investigation and the story that they were telling. Like there did come a point where I couldn't put it down, where I just loved it. So I don't know. Maybe you do just have to power through some of the minutia.
Maybe. I feel like I know what you're talking about now. It's like when the doctor and like the carriage driver are like driving through the city and like talking about like architecture.
Yeah.
Yep. That was a hard part to get through. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I guess interesting.
Sure.
If you're into city planning, but I'm not particularly. I'm here to read about murders.
Right. I just you know what? I prefer the Johnny Depp movie anyway, so.
Oh no. This is not that kind of podcast. Please, I don't want it to become that kind of podcast.
It won't be.
Okay. Boston Strangler. Boston Strangler.
Yep. Hey, there you go.
That's as much as I got. What did you think of this movie?
Okay, so this is our second attempt at trying to watch this movie. Last week we were going to watch it. I told you that like 10 minutes in, I fell asleep. I just passed the fuck out. And said let's postpone. Happened again.
Oh no.
A lot.
Yeah.
Now, admittedly, not having a great week.
Yeah. Not feeling well.
Not feeling well, mentally and physically. But still, I fell asleep a lot in this movie. I honestly just think this movie's boring.
Oh no.
And that ultimately, like, there wasn't anything in it for me to give a damn about.
Okay.
I didn't care about Loretta or Jean at all.
Oh no.
And felt that they were just kind of empty characters. We briefly mentioned in the last episode, like, because when you described this, I was like, it's kind of like Zodiac then, right?
Yeah.
I did not care for Zodiac when I watched it. I do kind of want to watch it again, but at least I remember things about that movie, and I remember things about the characters in that movie, obviously, based on real people, but, like, they all had something about them to, like, grab onto.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel any of that with the Loretta character, the Jean character, who I feel like are supposed to be, our two footholds into this story.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Loretta more than Jean. Like, we get very little of Jean outside of the office,
right.
Or outside of work. But yeah, Loretta, I think they don't do enough to establish her motivation beyond just wanting to do the best that she can and to show these men that she can do it.
Right.
I feel like
tired of reviewing toasters.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like they sort of glance in the direction of, she wants to get justice for these victims who everyone wants to just sort of sweep under the rug and move on from. And like I said, they sort of glance in that direction when she visits one of the victim's mother.
Right.
But like that's, I feel like all we really get there. Like it's not, and I'm not saying I need everything to be spelled out.
Right.
But it's not even, just the groundwork is not laid well enough for that.
Right.
Because I do think that's a compelling motivation. It's just not established well enough to really work.
Yeah, she I don't know, she doesn't the passion that is portrayed in the movie is more just seeming to be, well, I'm just tired of working the lifestyle desk. I want to be a real reporter.
Yeah.
And not about, here are all these victims, we need to do something. And like you said, it just kind of glances in that direction a little bit, but I don't think there's a lot of believable follow-through with it.
Yeah.
And we get a lot of lip service about, women being victimized. But like, nothing to me, anyway, that I felt was, what am I looking for here?
I think I hear what you're saying. Like it is, they make it out to be like when she goes to see the one guy in prison towards the end, and he delivers, well, first of all, he delivers a speech that I had to turn subtitles on to understand what he was saying, because I could not figure out what he was saying. But basically it boils down to men kill women, men have always killed women, men will always kill women.
Yeah.
And like, that is also an interesting point, but it is seated. It's not seated. It's brought up way late in the game. Like, there's a whole bunch of different points that are trying to be made here, and it's almost like it can't decide which one it wants to make.
Right. And I think part of it also is, once Loretta gets off the lifestyle desk, sort of, like she, the movie starts out with her, like, sort of tracking this thread between, killings.
Yeah.
And discovering, a pattern of sorts. And that sort of unlocks everything else. But, she only gets allowed to do that because she offers to basically do it for free.
Right.
But then, once she does, then she's in, and it's good. But before that, like, when she is on the lifestyle desk or whatever, like, she gives the impression that the reason that she's not allowed to do this is because she's a woman.
Right.
But then also, once she gets to that point where, like, her sole focus becomes the Boston Strangler, like, there's never any pushback from, like, any of her male coworkers at that point on. Like, other than, like, the editor basically saying, well, you can't do this because you don't have a story.
Right.
And I feel like that probably would not be the case in, early 60s, for a woman to be, that kind of reporter, that kind of journalist.
Yeah.
Even though I did have this thought, it was like, well, Lois Lane has been doing this for at least 20 years.
Oh, I got huge Lois Lane vibes throughout this whole movie. And that was really nice. But Chris Cooper is no Perry White.
He is not, nope. And RoboCop 3 is maybe a J. Jonah Jameson, though.
What?
Robert John Burke is the editor-in-chief.
Okay.
The guy above Chris Cooper.
Yeah.
He was RoboCop in RoboCop 3.
Wow. I never knew there was a non-Peter Weller RoboCop in the movies.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting.
Yep, that was him.
Good for Peter Weller.
Veteran character actor Robert John Burke.
All right.
Yeah.
I thought he looked familiar, but I couldn't place him.
I mean, he's been in, like, all the Law and Orders.
Okay.
I think he plays an internal affairs investigator.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Yeah, constantly trying to take Stabler down.
You know what? That guy needs to be taken down a peg. Stabler. I'm just gonna say it. Elliot Stabler is a bad cop. Constantly with the excessive force, and just he's too emotional to be a cop. I don't know why they let men be cops. They're just way too emotional.
Why do they let men do anything?
Right? If this movie showed us anything, it's that women are better at everything.
It's true. Except killing.
Except killing, that's right. That's the only thing that men are good at.
Yep.
Oh, I don't feel good about the turn that this took. It feels weird to me. Let's move on.
Alright.
So Keira Knightley and Carrie Coon are the two leads, essentially. And I thought they were both great. Like, I think Carrie Coon is wonderful in everything that she does.
Yeah, she was really good. I think the fact that, like you said, like, we never see much of her outside of just being the coworker. Like, I wanted to see more of her. I wanted to see more of what made her tick. Like, there felt like there was a part of the movie that's like, okay, we've been focused on Keira Knightley for, like, a good portion, and then we sort of get Carrie Coon doing her thing solo, and I thought, okay, maybe it's going to be like a split kind of thing.
Yeah.
But then it immediately just goes back to Keira Knightley again.
Yeah.
And it was kind of disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, I think my complaint about anything that Carrie Coon is in is that there's not enough Carrie Coon in it.
I mean, it was like the third season of The Leftovers.
Was it? I thought she was all over that.
I felt like there was like probably a full episode where she wasn't in.
Oh, there probably was. Oh boy. But yeah, I thought Keira Knightley was maybe, like, I was a little concerned when she was doing an American accent, but I thought it held up pretty well. And I also appreciate that she didn't try a Boston accent.
Yeah, not a lot of people did in this movie.
Yeah, just like the cops did, for sure.
Yeah,
but
yep. Which I guess kind of makes sense.
Yeah,
I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. There was something about her voice that threw me off. That, like, it would just hit me on an occasion. It's like, yeah, that just sounds off.
Oh, interesting.
But not in the way of, like, like you said, like she never seemed to be trying a Boston accent, which was very thankful.
Yeah.
But just, I don't know, it just hit me weird at I don't know, once or twice throughout the movie.
Yeah. I mean, I think I generally like Keira Knightley. There's a thing that Jenny and I used to do a Keira Knightley impression, and basically the impression was a quivering underbite, which I feel like is a thing that she used to do a lot. I don't know if she still does it, but like if she's playing a character who's really upset, it's like underbite, quivering. Like, that's how you know she's really upset. And she never did that in this movie, which was nice. It felt like growth as an artist.
Yeah, she's maturing.
Yeah.
I can honestly only think of one other Keira Knightley movie that I've ever seen.
Is it Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace?
Nope. Didn't know she was in that.
Yeah, she's the Queen Amidala's decoy.
Okay. I've also done my best to forget that movie, so.
That's fair.
No, Domino.
Oh, yeah, okay.
The Tony Scott directed, sort of based on a real life thing.
Yeah, sort of biopic-ish.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which I enjoyed way more than I think probably I was supposed to.
I was gonna say, I remember seeing that when it came out and thinking it was pretty bad.
Yeah.
But maybe I should
when it came out, and the only reason I went was because it was free.
Sure.
And my friend Bruce was like real excited about it, and I just remember seeing the trailer. I was like, this looks terrible. And then walking out, I was like, that was a hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I liked it, but also maybe going in with zero expectations, maybe helped it.
That could be. But yeah, she's I'm trying to think of other stuff that I've seen her in. Like she does a lot of dramas,
right?
Especially like period dramas, like The Imitation Game,
right?
There's a movie she's in called Never Let Me Go. That's excellent.
What is that one about?
That one is about it's her and Carey Mulligan and Andrew Garfield.
I have not seen that movie, but I have read that book.
Okay.
Yeah.
The movie's great.
Okay. I enjoyed the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like her. I like her in general, and I thought she was really good in this. Just wish that they had fleshed out the character a little bit more.
Yeah. Like they feel, it feels like they kept trying to horn in this like family drama in with it, but like none of it, like other than her husband making a complete face turn.
Yeah.
And again, I like the movie spans 4 years, something like that.
Yeah, 4 or 5 years, something like that.
Which I did do a little bit of wikiing before we started, because the movie sort of starts to wrap up when the alleged killer, Albert DeSalvo, gets killed in prison.
Right.
But he actually got killed in prison in 1973.
Okay.
But the movie doesn't seem to go into the 70s. It seems to kind of end things around like 1965, 1966.
Yeah, from what I read, they sort of just compressed the timeline of some things.
Yeah.
Also, Albert DeSalvo played by David Dastmalchian, who I love.
The famed comic book writer.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was fun. The Polka Dot Man himself.
Yeah. Wish he kind of had a bigger role, I guess, because
Me too.
I really like that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are some recognizable faces in this movie. A lot of unrecognizable faces in this movie.
Right.
As with most movies.
Yes, I also did not recognize every single person on the screen. I'm glad we cleared that up. Well, I'm sorry that you fell asleep. I was riveted.
I mean, this definitely felt like more your jam than mine.
Yeah, it's straight up a procedural about, people, investigating and making, there was not a yarn wall in the movie, but I feel like there should have been at least 2 or 3. Yeah, this was catnip for me. I loved it. I mean, I can look at it and recognize that there are shortcomings to it. It is definitely slow.
Yeah.
I mean, the comparison to Zodiac, I feel like, is inevitable, and it's not as compelling a case as Zodiac, just because Zodiac is so fucking weird,
right? With
the letters and everything. But I thought the way the story was told was interesting. I did think it was interesting that we see some things that no one could possibly have seen. Like, I feel like Zodiac went out of its way to make sure that there was nothing in the movie, like, as far as the murders go,
right,
that was not, based on real people's statements.
Right.
but we actually, see some of the murders here. And so I thought that was an interesting angle to take. And also, when they identify, because ultimately, spoiler alert for this movie, the conclusion that it comes to is that there are multiple Boston Stranglers,
right?
And they operated at different times and all didn't all necessarily collude together, but that essentially the Boston Strangler became a catch-all for any man who wanted to get rid of a woman in his life who was a complication.
Sure.
And that I think is really interesting. And also like the idea that there were multiples sort of popped into my head when we see one of the murders, and like the woman lets the killer in and doesn't recognize him,
right.
But the prevailing theory is that it's someone that she knew. So like that was an interesting way to sort of clue, I think, the viewer in on where the movie was going.
Yeah.
And let us know something that the characters didn't. But yeah, I really liked it. I don't know that I would watch it again the way that I watched Zodiac over and over again.
Sure.
But I did really, really enjoy it. And it made me want to watch a really good documentary about the Boston Strangler.
Yeah. I feel like, you did ask me earlier if I knew anything about the Boston Strangler case, and I feel like there is some part of me deep down that kind of knew the multiple killer aspect. But I feel like, and so I was kind of expecting it through the whole movie, but I guess I was more under the impression, I guess, that it was like two guys working together.
Yeah.
Whereas the movie, sort of lays out that, like you said, it is just dudes who just wanted to kill a lady who was just inconvenient.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I think is spelled out pretty clearly early on when one of the victims, it's discovered that, she was pregnant from her boss that she was having an affair with.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, so that's where this is headed.
Right.
Like, it's just going to be dudes looking to get rid of ladies.
Yeah.
And planted some ideas in my head.
Oh, no.
No, not at all.
Oh, boy. I just recently watched a docu-series on Peacock called Myth of the Zodiac Killer, which posits that there was no Zodiac Killer, just multiple people who took advantage of the press and, wrote letters and whatever.
Right.
And I don't know that I really buy it. But also I don't know. Anything's possible.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, what better cover, if there was a serial killer panic, in a place where you lived, what better way to get away with murder at that point in time,
It's true.
Yeah. So be on the lookout in your areas, folks.
Oh boy. Well, I hope that you got some good sleep while you were watching this movie.
I mean, I would wake up and then I would rewind to the part that I remembered last, and I would continue to watch. So, I didn't miss anything.
Okay.
I did watch the whole movie. It just kind of happened in chunks. And then I forgot that this was on Hulu, and then occasionally there would just be a commercial.
Oh, god damn it.
Because I don't pay for special Hulu.
Nor should you.
Nope.
Fuck off, Disney.
I've been getting it for free for like 10 years now. I am not going to stop.
Oh boy. Is there anything that's making you happy this week, sir? I know. We both feel like crap. We've had some rough things happen.
Yep. Oh shit. Well, I was saying before the show that I was a little upset that I hadn't cried, and I almost just started crying right there.
Oh no! Oh no! You know what? This is primarily a healing podcast, I think, for both of us.
Yeah.
And I would never tell you to stifle your tears, sir.
I appreciate that. I guess I went to a used music and video store today for a little bit of self-care.
Nice.
And it picked up some Blu-rays, so I guess that is probably the thing that is making me happy at the moment.
Nice. What'd you get?
Got a used copy of Across the Spider-Verse.
Nice.
And a copy of David Cronenberg's The Dead Zone.
Okay, nice.
The Stephen King adaptation with Christopher Walken.
Yeah.
And a copy of Lucio Fulci's Zombie.
All right, I don't think I've ever heard of that one.
It is a very cheap Italian zombie movie that is entirely dubbed in English.
That's awesome.
I think there's like 2 or 3 actors in it who are English speaking, and everyone else is Italian. And it's very... The Italians made some funky movies in the 70s.
Is it like spaghetti horror?
Sort of, yeah. It's super gory. It is. It came out and was sort of. So when George Romero's Dawn of the Dead came out in Italy, they called it Zombie, and so then Lucio Fulci made this movie. They called it Zombie 2.
Okay.
Even though it has absolutely nothing to do with the Romero movie, other than the fact that there are zombies in it. And then I think they added on a new ending to it to tie into the George Romero movie.
That's interesting.
Yeah. But it is most famous for having an underwater zombie versus a shark fight.
Ooh. That's amazing.
Featuring a real shark.
Oh my god.
And then a very famous scene where a woman gets her eyeball impaled on a piece of wood.
Oh, Jesus.
Yep.
I mean, one of those things sounds really cool. I'll let you be the judge of which I think it is.
It's the eyeball. I know.
It is the eyeball.
Yeah.
Boy.
And then when I opened up the case, there was an ad on the inside of it, like a little flyer, the little insert that they stick into Blu-ray cases.
Yeah.
For an adaptation of the movie, a comic book adaptation, featuring art by local legend Kyle Holtz.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so it came with some Kyle Holtz artwork.
Nice.
Yeah. So
Very cool.
That is the stuff that is keeping me from just not completely wallowing in misery right now.
I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad to hear that there's something. I really am.
Yeah. Oh, what about you, sir?
Oh boy, I have a couple of things. I'm gonna go with the thing that I think will be the most surprising to you.
Okay.
I watched for the first time this past weekend the movie 300 by Zack Snyder.
Wow.
I know. My partner wanted to watch it. She said that it's one of her favorite movies.
Huh.
And I was open to it. I sort of knew stuff from trailers, and just a lot of slow-mo and sort of the memification of some parts of it.
Right.
But I was really pleasantly surprised. I thought it was actually really good.
Huh.
I mean the story is relatively thin.
Yeah.
At least as far as all the fighting goes, it's basically just nonstop jacked, shredded dudes killing people,
Right.
which has its place and is awesome
Sure.
in that place. It also has Lena Headey,
Right.
from Game of Thrones and the Sarah Connor Chronicles, and I really like her. And her part was a plot rape aside. I thought her part was really entertaining and interesting. And then yeah, just the visuals of it were a lot cooler than I expected. Like I knew, like I've seen a few other Snyder movies. I've seen Watchmen and
Right.
a few of the DC movies and
Yeah, so all
Dawn
of
the
them.
Dead and stuff. So I guess all of them.
Sucker Punch.
I haven't seen Sucker Punch. Thank you
Okay.
very much. Nor have I seen Rise of the Guardians: The Owls of Ga'Hoole. So like I knew that there would be somewhat slavish devotion to Frank Miller's artwork and framing.
Right.
But I thought it was really cool, and just like the way that it looked was really interesting. I mean, I went in with very very low expectations. But I figured if she likes it, then there's got to be something there that I will enjoy too, and I was very pleasantly surprised. So I think that's probably the thing that is making me happy this week.
All right.
Unexpectedly, is Zack Snyder's 300.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, have you read the Frank Miller comic?
I have not, no,
Okay.
and neither has she. So I'm gonna see if I can find it used. I'm sure that shouldn't be a problem.
Probably not. Yeah.
And yeah, because I definitely do want to read it.
I have read it. I feel like I enjoyed it when I did.
Okay.
But also this was before Frank Miller, went completely batshit crazy. So
Right.
your mileage may vary.
Sure.
But it's also probably got a lot of problematic stuff that I just was not keyed into at the time. So,
Yeah.
obvious. But also it's a beautiful looking book. I think it's one of the last ones that Lynn Varley colored.
Yeah.
So her work over his work is usually pretty stellar. So, if anything, it's nice to look at.
Yeah. I mean, there is some problematic, like, essentially it boils down to a bunch of white dudes fighting off a bunch of people of color
Right.
who are invading.
Yeah.
Which is a little sketchy.
Yeah.
But if you can sort of put that aside and consider it, as a based on historical events, I think it's not as jarring as I would have thought it would be.
Right. Yeah, I saw the movie once, and I don't think I really enjoyed it that much. Probably because of the sort of green screeny aspect of it.
Yeah.
I know my former partner also really enjoyed that movie. But I was never gonna give it another chance. And probably do less to the movie itself and then more to just what I feel about Zack Snyder in the modern day.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I can totally see that. Yeah, if I feel like I was somewhat able to divorce the movie from him, just knowing because it's an older movie,
Right.
So like I feel like the cult of Snyder was not in place at that point, or at least I wasn't aware of it if it was.
Definitely not fully cemented anyway.
Yeah.
It's his second movie?
Okay, is it after Dawn of the Dead?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to think. Maybe. Yeah, I think it went Dawn of the Dead and 300, and then Watchmen. So yeah, it's still it's him definitely trying to figure out what he's doing, I guess.
Yeah.
Because I eventually came to realize that everything that I really like about Dawn of the Dead is due to the script, which is by James Gunn.
Right.
And less because of, the direction. Which, the direction in it isn't bad, because it's... there are certain people who just need to be told no.
Yeah.
And I think Zack Snyder is one of them.
Yeah, I mean, from what I remember about Dawn of the Dead, it's not hyper stylized the way that like 300 and Watchmen are.
Right.
So yeah, it's almost a more straightforward point and shoot.
Yeah. And I think for me the telltale was when he did Sucker Punch. And it was like, oh, this is him. The proverbial blank check. This was his passion project, and it is just an empty, vapid thing. It's like, oh, this is pure, unfiltered Snyder, and this is not for me.
Yeah, still no plans to watch Sucker Punch here.
I mean, as an experiment, by all means, your mileage may vary, who knows, but I could not fully recommend it, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, do you have a movie in mind for us to watch next week?
I do. It is sort of predicated on the fact that we'll both not be entirely physically miserable.
Okay.
And we'll be able to watch it together.
Okay.
Because it is a movie that I own on Blu-ray.
Okay.
And it is available streaming, but as a rental. So if worse comes to worse, I'll split the rental fee with you, I guess.
No, don't worry about it.
But it's a movie that I've owned for a while and have not watched, and I would like to watch it. It is called Shin Godzilla.
Okay, nice.
Which was came out in, I think, 2017, 2018, something like that. And I don't know anything about it other than people say it's one of the best Godzilla movies. It is Japanese. And I believe Godzilla has googly eyes in it.
That's amazing.
So...
Let's fucking go. Yes, I know nothing about it, but if Godzilla has googly eyes, I am on board. It might be my new favorite movie.
Well, let's see if it holds up then next week.
All right, Shin Godzilla.
Yes.
God willing, if we're both feeling better.
I hope so.
I do too.
Alrighty, sir. Well, it was good to talk to you.
Yeah, you too. We'll reconvene next week.
Alrighty. Good night.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to The Viewmasters. You can subscribe to the show directly at our websites view.guttertrash.net or on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. Visit our website at view.guttertrash.net for information about our Twitter and Instagram. Once again, thank you for listening to The Viewmasters. We'll see you next time.